5th of August 2024, a brand new day and a brand new bulletin here on Newsfirst, coming to you live and direct from our Newsfirst studios here in Colombo, bringing you the news on Primetime News tonight. For the Newsfirst team, I am Jayamal Ratnaika.
And I'm Naveksha Gunasekara, and here are your headlines for tonight.
Prime Minister of Bangladesh Sheikh Hasina resigns and flees the country amidst massive public protests, ending 15 years of rule. Army chief says an interim government will be formed. Sarath Fonseca places bonds for the upcoming presidential election. 1,148,000 new voters to cast their ballot at the upcoming presidential election. SLPP yet to announce presidential candidate. Prasanna Ranatunga convenes SLPP heads of Gampaha, passes resolution to support President Wickramasinghe.
ඔබතුමාගේ ජයග්‍රහණයට අපි ශක්තිය ලබා දෙනවයි කියලා අපි අතුස්සලා ඔබතුමාට අපි පොරොන්දු වෙනවා.
Hashan Tilakaratne extends his support to the SJB. Arjuna's decision soon. Final rites of Most Venerable Galabada Gnani Sarathera conducted.
In some concerning news from a fellow South Asian country, Bangladesh's record 5-time Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina has resigned from her post. Chief of Army Staff General Wakar-uz-Zaman confirmed the resignation in an address to the nation.
Nearly 100 people were killed and hundreds more were injured during anti-government protests across Bangladesh. Demonstrators called for Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina's resignation. The protests escalated from earlier demonstrations in July, which began with students demanding an end to a quota system for government jobs. Today, the long-time leader of the country boarded a military helicopter and fled to India after crowds ignored a national curfew to storm the Prime Minister's palace in Dhaka. Sheikh Hasina departed from Bangababan at around 2:30 p.m. today on a military helicopter, accompanied by her younger sister Sheikh Rehana for a safer place. Chief of Army Staff General Wakar-uz-Zaman confirmed the resignation in an address to the nation.
Interim government আমরা ফর্ম করব.
As the country enters a period of transition, an interim government will be established to manage affairs moving forward. Rest assured, we are committed to holding accountable those responsible for any unlawful acts, and we take full responsibility for addressing the situation. Our goal is to meet all demands and restore peace and the rule of law. By engaging in dialogue, we believe we can collectively work towards a better future.
সমস্ত হত্যা সমস্ত অন্যায়ের বিচার আমরা করব.
In an address to the nation, General Wakar-uz-Zaman, the Chief of Army Staff, confirmed that Sheikh Hasina resigned and that an interim government would now run the country. He urged citizens to keep trust in the army, which he said would return peace to the country. He said there is no need for a curfew or a state of emergency in the country and called on protesters to give the army some time as he promised them to find a solution. General Wakar-uz-Zaman urged student protesters to stay calm and go back home. He called for a halt to all violence in the name of protest and promised that the new government will ensure justice for all the deaths that took place during the anti-discriminatory student movement. Nearly 100 people were killed and hundreds more injured as renewed anti-government protests swept across Bangladesh, with protesters calling for the Prime Minister to resign and the Prime Minister accusing them of sabotage and cutting off mobile internet in a bid to quell the unrest. The country's leading Bengali-language daily newspaper, Prothamalu, said at least 95 people, including at least 14 police officers, died in the violence. Demonstrators had been demanding Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina's resignation following protests last month that began with students calling for an end to a quota system for government jobs. Those demonstrations escalated into violence that left more than 200 dead.
Sri Lanka decides.
Shifting your attention to local news here at home, bonds were placed on behalf of Field Marshal Sarath Fonseca, who is running as an independent candidate in the upcoming presidential election.
A delegation representing Field Marshal Sarath Fonseca visited the Election Commission in Rajagiriya to place bonds. Thereafter, the Dhammika Ratnayaka of the unarmed struggle for a people's revolution commented to the media.
He is contesting the election as an independent candidate. He will step down from the party he represents as well as his positions. No, there is no splitting of votes. He is contesting as an independent to create a country free of bribery and corruption and a law-abiding society. USPR means unarmed struggle for a people's revolution, and we are engaged in an unarmed struggle. This group works towards the victory of Sarath Fonseca. Our objective is to create an independent president in this country that does not represent political parties. We are prepared to prove it.
Former JVP MP Siripala Amarasinghe is also contesting the poll, and bonds were placed on behalf of him. The bonds were placed by a group led by Asanka Srinath, the chairman of the Joint United Trade Union Centre.
He has come forward to lead a more than 60,000 strong trade union force. He will contest the presidential election, and we from the Joint United Trade Union Centre placed bonds on his behalf. The Election Commission has issued a statement refuting recent reports that registered voters can cast their ballots at any polling station across the island. The notice, signed by Election Commissioner General Saman Sri Ratnayaka, emphasises that voters must visit the specific polling station indicated in their official polling card. According to the data released by the Election Commission, 1,148,258 new voters will be exercising their franchise at this year's presidential election. The number of registered voters at the 2019 presidential election in Sri Lanka was 15,992,096. The 2024 voter list reveals a total of 17,140,354 registered voters. The highest number of voters are registered in the Gampaha district with 1,881,129 voters. That is an increase of 129,237 voters from the previous presidential election. In the Colombo district, 1,765,351 voters are registered. Kurunegala district has 1,417,226 registered voters. Kandy accounts for 1,191,399 registered voters, while Kaltara district has 1,024,244 registered voters. The districts of Vaunia, Mana and Mullaitivu now function as the Vanni district with a total of 306,081 registered voters. The turning point.
The Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna will announce its presidential candidate on Wednesday.
This morning, an internal party discussion took place at the official residence of Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna leader and former President Mahinda Rajapaksa on Vijayarama Mawatha in Colombo. Notable attendees included Nama Rajapaksa, Gamini Lukuge, Prasanna Ranavira, Sarath Weerasekara, Thenuku Vidana Gamage, Johnston Fernando, Sanjay Vedirimanna, Indikan Rudda and Thisakutti Arachi. Newsfirst correspondent also confirmed the presence of Basil Rajapaksa, the founder of Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna, during the discussion.
දැන් ඔබතුමාලාගේ බහුතරය රනිල් මහත්තයා ගාවන ඉන්නේ ඒක ගැන මොකද හිතන්නේ එතුමා සහ ඔබතුමාලා
මහින්ද රාජපක්ෂ මහත්තයා බින්තර ගහගෙන ගියාය කීප දෙනෙක් එහාට ගිහිලා තියෙනවා. හැබැයි ඡන්දදායක ඉන්නේ අපිත් එක්ක. ඒ අත් උස්සන අය ගිය පයින් අනිත් පැත්තට එනවා. ඒ හින්දා ඔය තීන්දුව තියෙන ගත්ත අය හොඳ දේශපාලන පාඩමක් කරගන්න.
ඔබතුමා වගේම ළඟින් හිටපු රෝහිත අබේගුණවර්ධන මහතා ගියානේ ජනාධිපතිතුමා ගාවට. ඒ ගැන මොකද හිතන්නේ ජනාධිපතිතුමා මේ මහින්ද මහත්තයා මොකද හිතන්නේ?
එතුමා දිහා බැලුවා නම් රෝහිත ඇමතුමා දිහා හොඳට පේනවා එතුමා ඊයේ නෙමෙයි ගියේ හොඟක් දවස් ගියේ. ඒකට අවුරුදු 27ක් සමරයි.
දැන් අපේක්ෂක නම් කිරීම කවද්ද?
හත්වෙනි.
කොහෙද තියෙන්නේ?
හුඟක් වෙලාවට පක්ෂ කාර්යාලයේ තමයි සුසුමත් බලමු ඉස්සරහට දැන හරියට කියන්නේ.
පක්ෂ කාර්යාලය වගේ නැතුව ලොකු තැනක කරනවා කියලා නබුතුමාලා කිව්වේ.
දැස්විච්ච කට්ටියගේ බහුතර මතය තියෙන්නේ පක්ෂයේ දෙයක් පක්ෂ අපේක්ෂකෙක් නම් කියන පක්ෂ කාර්යාලයට.
ධම්මික පෙරේරා මහතාගේ නම නෙවෙයිද?
7 වෙනිදාට කියන්නේ.
දැන් නිතරම ඇහුනේ ධම්මික පෙරේරාගේ නමනේ. ඒ නම ස්ථිරයිද?
ඔව් ධම්මික පෙරේරා මහත්මයා ඒ කරුණු කාරණා දීලා තියෙනවා. ඉතින් අපි නැකත් බලලා වෙලාව බලලා නමක් කියන්නිද්දි අද මේ මහපාරේ නම් කියනයි. දැන් අපි විනායක කිව්වේ පිට්ටනි ගාන ගිහිල්ලා කනතු ගාන ගිහිල්ලා බස් ඕට් ගාන ගිහිල්ලා එහෙම ගිහිල්ලානේ. ඒ නිසා පක්ෂයේ උත්තරීතරම තැන ඉඳලා අපි ඒක ප්‍රකාශයට පත් කරනවා 7 වෙනිදා.
The turning point.
Yesterday, during a Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna District Committee meeting held at Minister Prasanna Ranatunga's office in Udugampala, a group of parliamentarians, provincial council members and local government members representing the Gampaha district pledged their support to securing the victory of Ranil Wickremesinghe in the upcoming presidential election. Notable attendees included Minister Prasanna Ranatunga, MPs Milan Jayatilaka, Sahan Pradeep Vidhana, Kokila Harshani Gunawardana, Upul Mahendra Rajapaksa and Sisira Jakudi, all of whom were elected to Parliament from the SLPP. Additionally, 13 out of the 16 former provincial councillors from the Gampaha district and approximately 350 former councillors representing local government institutions participated in this meeting.
If we could secure a win for Gotabaya Rajapaksa with a margin of 365,000 votes, I am confident that Ranil Wickremesinghe can achieve an even greater victory in Gampaha with our unity. Let's save our country and the Sasana. We pledge with raised hands that the people of Gampaha district who love their president and their country will unite and fully support his victory. We are dedicated to helping the president implement a program that ensures progress and protects the rights of all citizens.
We will not only secure a victory for the president in Mirigama, but also guarantee a win for Gampaha under your leadership. Winning Gampaha means winning the country.
We have always maintained one stance. We cannot support a secretary whose name we do not know, nor can we accept him as president. We have enough leaders and we do have individuals who deserve presidency. However, if we are asked to support someone else just because they have money, we cannot comply. The turning point. State Minister Shehan Semesinghe says that he will take action against the disciplinary action that the SLPP will institute against him. He formally communicated this to the General Secretary of the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna, Attorney at Law Sagara Karyawasam, via a letter. In his correspondence, State Minister Semesinghe asserts that he and fellow party members are not bound by the resolution passed on the 29th. The resolution approved the presentation of a candidate under the SLPP symbol and authorized disciplinary measures against dissenting party members. State Minister Semesinghe contends that this decision contradicts the party's internal democratic principles and the tenets of natural justice.
The turning point.
Former Kaluthara District Pradesh Sabha members of the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna convened in Horana today. The meeting was organised by Kaluthara District MP Sanjeev Edrimana. National Organiser of SLPP MP Nama Rajapaksa was also in attendance.
රෝහිත ඇමතුමාගේ රැස්වීමට මාත් ගියා දැනගන්න ලැබුණ ආරංචිය නිවැරදිද කියලා බලාගන්න තමයි මම
I also attended Minister Rohita's meeting to find out if the information I received was correct. I realized it was an organized effort. We never got a chance to voice our opinions. So I raised my objections with the minister and left after telling him that I did not agree with his stance and will move forward while protecting the party. We changed the party constitution and appointed him national convener. After doing so, he shed crocodile tears and said he left the party with his mother's blessings. My parents nor my relatives are from this party, but my children tell me to fearlessly represent the faction with Mahinda Rajapaksa.
බය නැතුව නියෝජනය කරන්න මහින්ද රාජපක්ෂ මැතිතුමාත් එක්ක එතුමා නියෝජනය කරන ඒ කඳවුරේ අපි ඉන්නවා.
Every man who has principles and a conscience will support SLPP in Kaluthara.
වගේම පක්ෂ ජාතික සංවිධායකවරයා විදියට ජාතික සංවිධායකවරයා විදියට මම ඔබ
As the national organizer, I can responsibly say that as the political force that has and will continue to win future elections, we will work together to win this election.
A group of civil activists attempted to hold a media briefing along the road leading to the president's office today, claiming that they must present a set of proposals to presidential candidates.
Subsequently, they addressed the media and revealed that 8 proposals will be put forth for presidential candidates. Some of those proposals include accepting that the contemporary political system has failed, accepting the need to establish a people-centric political system which is accountable to the people, denouncing bribery, corruption, waste and various irregularities.
None of these camps will be able to secure 50+1. Only 65% of the votes are being split between parties. 35% of the votes are still floating, wondering who to support. We are appealing to that 35%.
අපට අවශ්‍ය වුණේම මේ රටේ අයාලේ යන දේශපාලනය හරිහමන් තැනකට දාලා වැදගත් දේශ
Our ambition was to curtail the wasteful political culture and create one with integrity. If we ask a 16 or 17-year-old school kid what their future plan is, they would say they wish to leave their motherland. Our intention is to preserve the human capital we created by offering free education and healthcare and transform this country into a prosperous one.
මේ රට ශාස්ත්‍රීය රටක් බවට පත් කරගන්න.
මේ රටේ වංචාව දූෂණය පිටු දකින නායකයෙක් අපි ගේන්න.
We need to bring in a leader who does not condone fraud and corruption. We intend to present a person who best fits that requirement. Through that, we wish to reignite the hopes of the 35% of the voters who are frustrated. We will bring a candidate you can rally behind.
The group released a set of balloons which read, "For quality politics," after addressing media.
ඒකට පක්ෂයක් නෑ පාටක් නෑ හැමෝටම පොදුයි වැදගත් දේශපාලනය අද දවසේ මේ මොහොතේ for quality politics දැන් ගුවන්ගත කරනවා මේක සාර්ථක වේවා කියලා ප්‍රාර්ථනා කරනවා.
A group of activists representing the Galle-Face People Struggle attended a media briefing held at the political office of President Ranil Wickremesinghe in Colombo earlier today.
ප්‍රධාන වශයෙන්ම මේ අරගලයට අවශ්‍ය බොහෝ දේවල් සප්ලයි කරේ ඒ අරගලයට අවශ්‍ය සම්පත් සියල්ල.
The Black Cap Movement organization provided essential resources to the Aragalaya. We are also the pioneers of the silent protest trend initiated in Kohuwala. The silent protest organized by a few of us at the Kohuwala junction evolved into a string of such protests island-wide. We were the first group to vacate the Galle-Face when Ranil Wickremesinghe became president. We bear a responsibility to make the people aware of what should be done and what needs to happen at this point of time. Based on the current crop of candidates, we believe incumbent President Ranil Wickremesinghe is the only one acting with a plan and a proper mechanism.
වැඩපිළිවෙලක් යටතේ ජනාධිපතිවරයෙන්ට තරඟ කරන එකම අපේක්ෂකයා වර්තමාන ජනාධිපති රනිල් වික්‍රමසිංහ මහත්මයා කියලා.
අපි ඒ වෙලාවේ විපක්ෂයේ කාර්යභාරය අතට අරගෙන කිව්වා ගෝඨාභයව පන්නන වගකීම අපි ගන්නවා. ඕගොල්ලෝ මේ
During the crisis, we took on the role of the opposition and worked to chase Gotabaya Rajapaksa and requested the opposition to accept prime ministership and work to stabilize the economy. What they said in response was that the country cannot be salvaged for another decade and they are not ready to take up the sins of others and a country which will require extensive reforms to revive. At a time the House, that is our country, was in flames and the opposition was undecided, Ranil Wickremesinghe with a single seat in parliament accepted the challenge. We now have sailed to calmer waters. Ranil Wickremesinghe must continue this process until our ship is guided to a safe harbour.
වරායකට ගෙන යන තුරු රනිල් වික්‍රමසිංහ මේ ක්‍රියාවලිය ඉදිරියට කරගෙන යා යුතුයි කියලා.
අපි මේ අවස්ථාවට සහභාගී
We are taking part here representing this mechanism. No matter who brings forth what mechanism, we will not accept it because they did not introduce those back then. We have witnessed this process in motion. We were engaged in a certain brand of politics. Those representing the FSP, IUSF, NPP and other political forces were engaged in the Aragalaya. There were multiple groups. We too had our personal political preferences. It is baseless to claim that our activism there was purely to make Ranil Wickremesinghe the president. But he became the president as a result of the Aragalaya. That is correct.
The Samagi lawyers Balavege explained today the many issues that have arisen regarding the move to give a private agency the issuance of visas under the on-arrival system for foreigners arriving in Sri Lanka.
මෙම e-visa කියන්නේ electronic visa නිකුත් කිරීම සම්බන්ධව කිසිම tender පටිපාටියක් යටතේ tender ඉදිරිපත්.
They had not called for tenders over this e-visa process. The agreement had been inked for 10 years. Over 3 million will come into the country by charging $25 from one person. In this sector, the technology needs to be updated annually. But under this contract, it is valid for 10 years. There is also no room for the contract to be terminated. Moreover, that company had been given the exclusive right to promote tourism. But we already have a tourism promotion board. All that had been thrown aside. The cabinet paper says $200 million will be invested, but not a single mention is made regarding it in the agreement signed.
ගරු ශ්‍රේෂ්ඨාධිකරණය විසින් මෙම ගිවිසුම తాවකාලික වශයෙන් මෙම නඩුවේ අවසාන තීන්දුව දෙන තෙක් තහනම් කරමින් ඒ නියෝගය නිකුත් කරනු ලැබි.
We seem to be witnessing a trend of cricket also being linked to the presidential election. Cricketers or former cricketers were seen on various political stages in recent days.
Former Sri Lankan cricketer Hashan Tilakaratne has joined the ranks of the Samagi Janabalawegya, supporting the vision of opposition leader Sajith Premadasa in nation building. Tilakaratne, a respected figure in Sri Lanka's cricket history, is currently serving as the coach of a women's cricket team in Bangladesh. Joining him in his political venture is his wife Apsari Tilakaratne, who serves as the convener of the Sri Lanka women's cricket team.
Former fast bowler Chaminda Vas was also present at the Samagi Janabalawegya Youth Conference organised by MPSM Marika in Kulunava yesterday.
93 මං එද්දී කණ්ඩායම හිටිය හොඳ නායකයෙක්.
In 1993, the team had a good leader, Arjuna. He was a bold leader. There were 5 senior players with him. That is how we were able to make that change for Sri Lanka in 1996. The young generation must remember to think different. We always want change, but for that to happen, we should change ourselves. This country is yours. A good leader, sportsman, orator or doctor might arise from among you soon. But remember that unity is our strength. We will have an election very soon. Be wise. If you make the right decision, this country and these children will have a good future.
හොඳට හිතන්න, බුද්ධිමත් වෙන්න, කල්පනා කළා, හරි තීරණය ගත්තොත් මේ රටට අනාගතයක් තියෙන මේ ළමයින්ට.
මට මතකයි ඒ කාලේ මම පළාත් සභාවට ඉල්ලනවා කියලා රනිල් වික්‍රමසිංහ මගේ නායකයා ඒ කාලේ. මම එතුමාට කිව්වා
When I contested for the provincial council elections, Ranil Wickremesinghe was my leader. I told him I will be placed first. He laughed, but I was placed first in the Western Province with 77,000 votes. On that day he asked which seat I would take, and I chose Kolonnava. He asked why, and I gave him 2 reasons. The first one is because the UNP could never win the Kolonnava seat at that time, and I will be able to bring victory. The second reason is because Kolonnava is the most impoverished seat in the Colombo district. I took the Kolonnava seat with the aim of making it the most developed area in the Colombo district. If the youth in Kolonnava can reach the top in education, sports and art, then it will become the most developed area in the Colombo district. It is my responsibility to establish the necessary infrastructure and create that background.
සම්පාදනය කරලා ඒකට අවශ්‍ය වටාපිටාව හදලා දෙන එක තමයි මං හිතන්නේ මගේ වක්කීම.
The Citizens' Voice multi-party movement inked an agreement with a collective of civil and professional organizations to work collaboratively at the upcoming presidential election led by former Test cricket captain Arjuna Ranatunga. The agreement signing took place in Nugegado today.
One of the key issues prevalent today is vilifying one another. I too am frustrated because it is hard to say where a certain politician will end up. Everyone has one intention, and that is to enter parliament at the next election. Fraud and corruption has not produced either. Neither of us plan to contest the presidential election. Our aim is to decide who we will engage in politics with the most suitable person out of the lot. Political leaders have given us the opportunity to discuss with them. So, we will decide over the next few days. We have been given a meeting with the opposition leader and several others.
Journalists inquired regarding former cricketer Hashan Tilakaratne extending his support to Sajith Premadasa.
Whatever said and done, people like Sajith Premadasa and Hesha Vithanage stood up for cricket. Some from the government did the same. Former cricketers like Hashan Tilakaratne cannot stand with rogues who defended cricket. I cannot decide on behalf of Hashan, but he stood with Sajith Premadasa because of the cricket matter.
President Ranil Wickremesinghe took speedy action to fulfill the request from the students of the Manik Divella Madhya Mahavidyalaya in Kandy for a smart classroom and the modernization of their stadium.
Around 570 students from Manik Divella Madhya Mahavidyalaya met President Ranil Wickremesinghe at the President's office today following a tour of the President's house. They engaged in a friendly discussion with the President. He paid attention to the students' request for a smart classroom and the modernization of their stadium and instructed the officers to carry out the work promptly and arranged for the college stadium to be modernized with the Army's assistance. He also recognized students who excelled in sports.
Opposition leader Sajith Premadasa says the program will be implemented to increase the livelihood of the plantation workers who play a huge role in the country's economy, and national tea production will also be uplifted through this program.
A discussion between the opposition leader and the Low Country tea planters was held at the opposition leader's office today. The issues faced by tea planters was brought to the opposition leader's attention.
හැමදාමත්ම මේ කතාවට ලක්වෙන වතුකම්කරු ප්‍රජාවගේ වැටුප් ප්‍රශ්නය. අපි හිතනවා වැටුප්
The wage issue of the plantation workers community is discussed regularly. We think we need to provide a solution that extends beyond just wages. The plantation community, including the upcountry, low country and the youth suffering from unemployment, instead of granting them allowances and keeping them in the labour status. By giving them land rights, capital rights, cultivation rights to become a small tea plantation owner or a planter, their social status can be elevated. We are embarking on a national program to create small tea estate owners and new small tea estate owners both in the upcountry and the low country to turn the uncultivated wasteland into a fertile land and thereby take the national tea production to the highest level. Our labourers don't have to remain in that same status. They can be a landowner. That is your right and privilege. Your past, present and future, and the past, present and future of your children is not limited to the line rooms.
ඔබගේ දරු පරපුරේ අතීතයත් වර්තමානයත් අනාගතයත් සදාකාලිකවම ලයිම් කාමරයට සීමා වුණු කම්කරු රැකියාව නොවේ කියන එක මම මේ අවස්ථාවේ පැහැදිලිවම රටට අවධාරණය කරන්න කැමතියි.
The power of the people.
The constant worry about clean water can be a heavy weight. For 470 families in Nagavilla, that weight is no more. A new water purification system brings long-awaited relief and a healthier path forward.
The final rites of the Chief Sankanayaka of the Colombo New Koralaya and Chief Incumbent of Hunupitiya Gangaramaya Temple, Most Venerable Galabuddha Gnanissara Thero, were conducted this evening.
The mortal remains of Most Venerable Galabuddha Gnanissara Thera were placed at the Gangaramaya Temple till this evening. A large crowd converged at the temple to pay their last respects to the Most Venerable Thera, and the Sri Lanka men's cricket team was among them.
The vehicle entourage transporting the cortege of Most Venerable Galapada Gnanishara Thera left the Gangaramaya temple premises at around 3:30 this evening and moved towards the location where the funeral pyre was located, passing the Hunupitiya Road, Ramanayaka Mawatha, James Piris Mawatha and the Jinaratana Mawatha. A significant crowd attended the cremation of the Most Venerable Thera, including Mahasangha of the three sects, other religious leaders, the President, Prime Minister and Leader of the Opposition.
පොඩි හාමුදුරුවෝ මේ රටේ විහෙර විහාර හැදුවා. පොඩි හාමුදුරුවන්ට
Pudi Hamaduru constructed many temples across the island. He provided scholarships to students. A scholarship fund was established. He provided eating bowls to over 30,000 Mahasangha. He facilitated the provision of water supply and ablution blocks to more than 590 accepted pirivens in the country. All of this is testament to his profound impact, which is evident by this enormous outpouring of Mahasangha here today. The Technical College was established in 1978. The State Vocational College began in 1996. The Most Venerable Thero took into account the issues of the youth even before the government did. Almost all of those children came to pay their respects to Podi Hamaduru over the past 2 days. The Most Venerable Thero had advised us to conclude his final rites in a day if possible and conduct them in a simple and charm manner.
මනාපය තිබ්බේ මේ ආදාහන කටයුතු ඉතාමත්ම සරල චාම් විදියට කරලා ඇත්තෙන්ම එක දවසින් කරනවා නම් එහෙම කරන්න කියන එක අපිට උපදෙස් දීලා තිබුණා.
The Mahasangha, President and the opposition leader addressed the crowd following religious observances held in remembrance of the Most Venerable Thera. The mortal remains were cremated in a funeral pyre erected opposite the Gangaramaya temple. Most Venerable Galapada Gnanishara Thera, who inspired an entire nation and its people, may you attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. Representatives of Tamil Nadu Fishermen's Associations met Indian Foreign Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar and engaged in discussions.
Indian media reported that this meeting took place in Delhi. Indian media also reported that the issue of Indian Sri Lankan fishermen was discussed. Tamil Nadu BJP President Annamalai also participated in this discussion.
You know, we've been having, there's been an increase in the number of detentions of our fishermen, and one very unfortunate incident where there was a tragedy. So we should find some reasonable way. So I think we will definitely, you know, our union government and High Commission has always worked.
The Pakistan High Commission commemorated Kashmir Yom Istenhil Day in Colombo.
The Pakistan High Commission commemorated Yom Istisal Kashmir. 5 years have passed since the 5th of August 2019, when India took unilateral and illegal actions aimed at altering the internationally recognized disputed status of Jammu and Kashmir and changing the demographic structure of the occupied territory. The Pakistan High Commissioner, retired Major General Fahimul Aziz, underscored the oppression of innocent Kashmiris.
The international community cannot remain indifferent to the situation in Kashmir. It is our collective responsibility to stand up for justice and human rights. Today we call upon the Indian government to heed to the voices of the Kashmiri people and respect their right to self-determination. We urge an immediate end to the use of force, arbitrary detentions, and the imposition of draconian laws that suppress dissent and silence the Kashmiri people. Ladies and gentlemen, we also call upon the global community to take concrete actions to address the Kashmir issue. To the people of Kashmir, we say, your struggle is not in vain. Your resilience and courage have inspired the world, and we stand with you in your quest for justice and freedom. We will continue to raise our voices and advocate for your rights and until the day when Kashmir is free from the chains of illegal occupation.
Moreover, special messages from President Asif Ali Zardari and Prime Minister Muhammad Shehbaz Sharif were read out.
Day 47 of the third phase of the LOLC Divi Savya program, which is being carried out for the betterment of Sri Lanka's future generation, got underway today. Today's program was centered around the Nuwara district. Under the Divi Savya program, exercise books and stationery equipment required for a year are distributed free of charge to government schools with less than 150 students. Accordingly, school bags and stationery equipment were donated to students of the Darawalla Lower Division Tamil Vidyalaya, Darawalla Upper Division Tamil Vidyalaya, Dikkoya Sinhala Vidyalaya, Vanaraja Lower Division Tamil Vidyalaya, Kinkara Tamil Vidyalaya, Gauravilla Sinhala Vidyalaya, Annanale Tamil Vidyalaya and Desaid Tamil Vidyalaya. Today's program also covered the Hatton Zonal Education Office. The LOLC Divi Savya program continues to forge ahead for the betterment of Sri Lanka's future generation.
Several countries have urged their nationals to leave Lebanon as fears grow a wider conflict in the Middle East. Iran has vowed severe retaliation against Israel, which it blames for the death of Hamas political chief Ismail Haniyeh in Tehran last Wednesday. His assassination comes hours after Israel killed Hezbollah senior commander Fuad Shakir in Beirut.
Diplomatic efforts by the US and other Western countries continue to try to de-escalate tensions across the region. A growing number of flights have been cancelled or suspended at the Lebanon's only commercial airport in Beirut. The US, the UK, Australia, France, Canada, South Korea, Saudi Arabia, Japan, Turkey and Jordan are among the countries to have urged their citizens to leave Lebanon as soon as possible. Fears of an escalation of hostilities that could engulf Lebanon are at their highest since Hezbollah started its attacks on Israel, a day after the deadly Hamas attacks on southern Israel on the 7th of October in support for Palestinians in Gaza. Most of the violence has been contained to border areas, with both sides indicating not being interested in a wider conflict. Hezbollah, however, has vowed to respond to Shukr's assassination, which happened in Dahiyeh, the group's stronghold in Beirut's southern suburbs. It came after 12 children and teenagers were killed in a strike on the Israeli-occupied Golan Heights, which Israel blamed on Hezbollah. The UK says it is sending extra military personnel, consular staff and border force officials to help with any evacuations. It has urged UK citizens to leave Lebanon while commercial flights are running. The war began in October when Hamas carried out an unprecedented attack on Israel, killing about 1,200 people and taking 251 others back to Gaza as hostages. The attack triggered a massive Israeli military response, which has killed at least 39,480 Palestinians in Gaza, according to the territory's Hamas-run health ministry.
Protesters are continuing to protest in the streets of Venezuela following last weekend's contested presidential election. Current President Nicolas Maduro claims he won a third term, but the opposition has been collecting evidence that appears to undermine that conclusion.
Voices across the globe expressed concern over the growing number of arrests in Venezuela following last weekend's disputed elections. Pope Francis said Venezuela is living a critical situation in his traditional Sunday remarks at the Vatican. The remarks came hours after Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro announced that the government has arrested 2,000 opponents. At a rally in the Venezuelan capital Caracas, Maduro pledged to detain more people and send them to prison. Authorities have declared Maduro the victor in last Sunday's election, but have yet to produce voting tallies to prove he won. The opposition claims to have tally sheets showing it won. Venezuela sits atop the world's largest proven crude oil reserves and once boasted Latin America's most advanced economy, but it entered a free fall marked by 130,000% hyperinflation and widespread shortages after Maduro took the helm in 2013. More than 7.7 million Venezuelans have fled the country since 2014, the largest exodus in Latin America's recent history.
Over the past few days, the UK has been battered by widespread riots led by hundreds of far-right protesters. The violent rallies began following a deadly stabbing spree that killed 3 young girls and wounded several others at a children's dance and yoga class in northwest England.
The riots come after a stabbing rampage on the 29th of July at a Taylor Swift-themed dance and yoga class in Southport, England. Police arrested a 17-year-old male at the scene, but initially withheld his name because the suspect was under 18. That's when false rumours began to spread online, claiming that an asylum seeker was behind the attack. Demonstrations flared up across England, including Manchester, Hartlepool, Liverpool, Bristol and London, as well as Northern Ireland's capital, Belfast. On Sunday, some 700 rioters surrounded a Holiday Inn Express in Rotherham, which is known to house asylum seekers. Windows were broken and a flaming trash bin was thrown at the building. UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer called the riots far-right thuggery, adding that the riots will not be tolerated.
I utterly condemn the far-right thuggery we've seen this weekend. Be in no doubt, those that have participated in this violence will face the full force of the law. The police will be making arrests, individuals will be held on remand, charges will follow, and convictions will follow. I guarantee you will regret taking part in this disorder, whether directly or those whipping up this action online, and then running away themselves.
Amid the turmoil, there have also been examples of solidarity and generosity across the UK.
A press conference to inform Sri Lanka about Sri Lanka Sports Fiesta 2024 was held in Colombo today. The Sri Lanka Sports Fiesta 2024 is scheduled to be held in Colombo from the 16th to the 18th of August. The Ministry of Tourism, together with the Ministry of Sports and Youth Affairs, is organising Sri Lanka Sports Fiesta 2024. The event, held today to introduce the sponsors, was attended by the Sports Ministry Secretary K. Mahesan, Sports Director General Professor Shamal Fernando, leader of Sports Association, athletes, journalists and sponsors. MTV-MBC are the electronic media sponsors of this sports festival. Dialogue Asiata PLC is the main sponsor of the festival, which includes cricket, rugby, football, volleyball, netball, hockey and basketball. The organisers expect over 3,000 athletes to join Sri Lanka Sports Fiesta 2024. The fiesta will be held at several grounds in Colombo, which includes fun games and exhibitions for the whole family.
Army, Air Force, CSNFC, CRNFC, Haglop, Candy Force Club, Navy.
Aruna Darshana became the first Sri Lankan to enter the semi-finals of the men's 400-meter race at the Olympic Games. He achieved this feat following his performance at the 400-meter heats during the Paris Olympics.
I hope to do my best during the Olympics. It is also my expectation to participate at the Commonwealth Games. My coach and I are working on a plan to achieve this, and I hope to do my best in this regard.
Great support for these.
The preliminary rounds of the men's 400-meter race at the Paris Olympics took place last night. Aruna Darshana competed in the 5th heat, where he finished 3rd, while Kirani James of Grenada emerged the winner. Darshana clocked a personal best time of 44.99 seconds, securing the second fastest time ever recorded by a Sri Lankan athlete in the 400-meter event. The performance was enough to get him straight into the semi-finals, where he was ranked 17th at the end of the preliminary round. Social media erupted as coach Asanka Rajakaruna celebrated Darshana's triumph.
Williams towards the line. The Canadian was working furiously down the last 60 metres to ensure his qualification.
Born in Seruwawila, Aruna overcame numerous challenges to reach the Olympic stage. Coach Asanka recognized his talent and brought him to Akuramboda Veerakapitipola National School to nurture his athletic abilities.
පාසල් කාලේ ඉවර කරලා අධ්‍යාපනය ඉවර කරලා නැවත යන්න තැනක් තිබුණේ නැහැ. ඉතින් ඊට පස්සේ මමයි මගේ
There was no place to go after finishing school. Later, my wife and I decided to take Aruna to Kandy with the transfer. A small room in our house was allocated for Aruna. My wife provided all the food and drinks he needed with the salary I received.
අරුණගේ පෝෂණ අවශ්‍යතාවය අපිට පුළුවන් විදිහට මට හම්බෙන පඩියෙන් තමයි ඒ හැමදේම කරේ.
Aruna's semi-final is scheduled for tomorrow at 11:05 local PM.
And that's a wrap of Primetime News for tonight.
Thank you for watching.
Good
night.